but what do we value in terms of KM practitioners? So a lot of back and forth, and we realized something actually pretty simple to start, that what we value is value. Okay, that's great, not particularly useful. What we really want to do, as Meg mentioned, is how do we unlock value? And what we found is that agility maximizes KM value through the successful integration of people, processes, content, culture, technology. So rather than restate those original values in the Agile KM Manifesto, what we're going to do is create 5 statements of value. I'm going to walk you through those 5 statements right now. So first, people. Communicating the value of KM and how individuals contribute to KM is inherently valuable. What that means is we all know everyone has a role in KM, but if they don't understand that the value that it returns to both themselves and their organization, you're not going to be able to unlock that value.
Absolutely, and next here we have process, and again, we're reading directly from the Agile KM Manifesto you have access to, so please feel free to follow along. When we talk about process, what we mean here is value is maximized when your KM processes continuously address the full knowledge lifecycle. And what I want to underscore here is the concept of the life cycle. Processes aren't just important when you're starting a KM effort, they're important when you're creating content and knowledge, you're capturing it, you're managing, enhancing, governing it. We really want to think about this from that full life cycle perspective.
And next, our next statement of value here is related to content. So this one is pretty straightforward. So good KM content connects people to content and to each other. Is only valuable when it is easily found and leveraged by users. Pretty straightforward and safe on that one.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in. If you are a search enthusiast in the room, I think this one will be especially applicable to you, the connectivity of content and people and content to other pieces of content. All right, moving on to culture, which is my personal favorite here. KM's value is only sustained when KM processes are thoughtfully integrated into users' day-to-day activities. We don't want KM to be an afterthought, right? It deserves a seat at the table, and in order to make sure the value of your knowledge management efforts are optimized, you want to make sure that it's not considered as a secondary job or an additional task a busy employee has to do in their day-to-day. You want to make sure it's integrated and a part of the culture of your organization.
And lastly, we have the statement of value about technology. So technology is most valuable when it serves to unlock the value you've created by people, processes, culture, and content. And the reason why this one is a little bit different, and you'll see as you read through the rest of our manifesto, is that a lot of times people put technology first. They think, oh, I bought this great tool, I bought this thing off the shelf, I can implement it, and that's going to solve my problems. That's not quite true. It has to integrate with these other things to truly unlock value. So now we're going to walk through some of the principles. We're not going to walk through there 15 in front of you. We're going to give 3 examples to kind of talk about today. And again, we're encouraging feedback on all of them.
Absolutely. So I'll kick us off here. Our first principle that we wanted to extrapolate here is enlist the support of non-KM practitioners as champions who can demonstrate KM's everyday value to individuals, teams, and your organization. This really gets back to that people value. People are at the center of good knowledge management, whether or not knowledge management or knowledge manager is in their official job title. Let's treat them as such and make sure they're a part of the conversation.
All right, next one. This is a little bit long to read, so I might abbreviate this one. But leverage adult learning techniques to ensure understanding, engagement, and excitement about the importance of maintaining the health of your KM ecosystem. This will also foster a safe space where anyone who is struggling for guidance can find help, and making KM accessible to all. This is important, especially in large KM transformations. We just heard from our previous speaker about a very large-scale undertaking. In large organizations with lots of content and lots of people, you need to find a space where anyone, and foster a space, where anyone who needs help can get it. And this is, we'll look more to expand upon this a little bit later.
Absolutely, and last principle we'll pull out here is the final 15th principle. Do not let your current technology's limitations dictate your KM path. Instead, rely on use cases, user stories, and data to drive you forward. If your technology is discouraging appropriate democratization of data and information, don't be afraid to change course or replace the technology. We see this pretty often, right? You see your organization or another organization who's really adhering to the current capabilities of their technical stack, but technology, as we mentioned, is only part of the puzzle. It also has to be combined with your people and your processes and your content and your culture appropriately. So ensure that you're only taking it as part of the puzzle, not the full picture of where you can go and what you should focus on.